CBS 13 News is on your side. Live at 5.
Mainers missing at sea.
When that ship went down, I guarantee you she went down fighting for everything that child's got.
A lifeboat located and a body in the water.
We did identify human remains in one of the survival suits.
The Coast Guard searching for survivors, including Dylan Mecklin and Danielle Randolph of Rockland, Captain Michael Davidson of Wyndham, and Michael Holland of Wilton.
And I feel like maybe Michael can feel me with the positive energy. I talk to him a lot, telling him to come home.
We have team coverage from Miami, Florida to Castine, Maine.
From the communities holding on to hope tonight to the training these mariners received and a close-up look at those survival suits meant to protect them in the water, we will cover it all.
And we begin with John Crisos, who is with the crew members' parents in Jacksonville, Florida, where they are praying for a miracle. John.
Those families are praying for a miracle and a reunion. The Coast Guard says it is still hopeful that search teams will find survivors. And here in Jacksonville, families say they aren't giving up either.
Danielle loves her Patriots.
Clinging to pictures and memories.
We made it to a football game last year.
Mom Lori Bobbio says this is what's keeping her going, while her 34-year-old daughter, Danielle Randolph, is lost at sea.
We had such a good time, and this will go down forever. She had a good time.
Now Bobbio says she's praying for a different kind of win, a story of survival for the crew of the Faro, missing for more than 100 hours.
We got to stay positive. We'll have more games. We'll have more games.
Bobbio is waiting and wondering with another mother from Maine, Deb Roberts. Roberts' 25-year-old son, Mike Holland, was also on the ship when it started taking on water. This morning, this difficult journey took a new twist. The Coast Guard telling the families it believes the ship sank in 15,000 feet of water.
With the news this morning, it's becoming more and more difficult to be hopeful, but we are hopeful. We continue to pray. Miracles happen every day.
Roberts also holds onto a picture of her son and hope that maybe, just maybe, Michael will get that miracle.
I feel like maybe Michael can feel me with the positive energy. I talk to him a lot, telling him to come home.
A tough day, as you can hear, here in Jacksonville, but even with the difficult time that these families are dealing with, they are standing by the company towed Maritime and also the captain. They say only the weather is to blame. Those families are expected to get back together a little later tonight around 7 o'clock over at the Union Hall. Reporting live tonight in Jacksonville, Florida, I'm John Crisos, CBS 13 News.
All right, John, live with the parents down in Florida. John, we'll check back in with you in the next half hour.
We are still looking for survivors or any signs of life, any signs of that vessel.
The U.S. Coast Guard remained optimistic Monday morning that they may find survivors from the Faro ship disappearance last week. Captain Mark Fetter says they've searched 70,000 square nautical miles so far around the Bahamas where the ship was last seen. 33 people were on board. So far, no signs of life, but Fetter says they found items from the boat, like life suits.
In one of the survival suits, we did identify human remains in one of the survival suits. We lowered a rescue swimmer to confirm that the person was deceased and it was basically unidentifiable.
Brad, this was a very well-regarded, very experienced captain.
Yeah, he certainly is, from all accounts we are getting. Here in Wyndham, he's known simply as Captain Mike, and it's a community, as this sign says behind me, now praying for Captain Davidson and his family. Today we spoke with a longtime friend of Captain Davidson who worked with him early on in their maritime careers.
I've known him since we were kids. Our families had summer homes out on Great Diamond Island, and then we worked together here as captains at Casco Bay Lines.
Nick Mavadonis has known the captain of the Faro, Michael Davidson, most of his life.
Students at Maine Maritime are hanging on to hope that former graduates Captain Michael Davidson, Mike Holland, Danielle Randolph, and Dylan Mecklin will be found.
We're all talking about it, we're all thinking about it, but we're very confident in all the mariners' abilities.
They're going through the same training that those four went through before they graduated. It's extensive and it starts on day one.
A vigil is planned tonight right here at the Fisherman's Memorial. You can see pictures of Dylan and Danielle have already been set up. It's set to start at 6 o'clock and it is open to any members of the public.
People here say this news is especially hard for these small communities because many people know Mike Holland and know his family. So everyone here is really just hoping now for some good news. Now, 25-year-old Michael Holland did recently move to Wilton, but he spent most of his life in Jay, Maine. He graduated in 2008 from Jay High School, where he played football and then went on to Maine Maritime Academy. I spoke with one of his classmates and friend of the families today. She says Mike is a true Mainer. She says he loves fishing, hunting, and anything outdoors, and that it's been tough on the whole community since hearing the news.
It's heartbreaking, especially for the family and like for the whole town. I mean, we're all so close that everyone's just waiting to hear what they can do to help out or offer thoughts and prayers, and so we're all just hoping for the best right now.
The hope tonight, of course, is focused on those survival suits they had, that somehow some of the 33 crew members aboard are alive right now somewhere in the ocean awaiting rescue.
The suits are specially designed to give mariners the best possible chance at survival in situations like this and to stay afloat.
If you've never seen one of these suits, you should know that this is one of the single most important things that you can put on if you're in an emergency out on the ocean.
They're also known as immersion suits. On many large ships, having one per person is a requirement that the Coast Guard enforces.
The suits have to be Coast Guard approved. So when we go on board to check to make sure a vessel is in compliance, we make sure that it has that approval code from the U.S. Coast Guard. And then we also make sure that the condition is okay.
To make sure it does its job, keep you afloat.
The pillow behind your neck, it'll support your neck a little bit more.
Stay warm.
Your own breath kind of keeps it warm, and the only thing that's exposed is really your eye area.
And make you easier to spot. Making sure crews train regularly to put these on is also required.
My particular judgment, you never should have sailed through those waters. Period. Period.
Merchant Marine Terrence Meadows says he's angry and devastated by the decision to push forward with the trip to Puerto Rico.
If you know that it is a tropical thunderstorm and there's a hurricane coming to Puerto Rico where you are going, you have got to be kidding me. I blame the company because if they could have usurped the cap.
The company that owns the ship, Tote Maritime, says Captain Michael Davidson has 20 years of experience going to sea and watched the storm closely for days.
He continued down his track as he had planned and had intentions of obviously passing in front of the weather system.
But President of Tote Services Phil Green says the ship had a mechanical problem with the propulsion system, leaving the ship vulnerable right in the path of the storm.
Is the company also involved in deciding if a ship can go out with a hurricane approaching?
We place great faith and confidence in our captain's voyage planning.
When pressed on if the captain consulted with the company,
I'm the president and the CEO of Tote, so the responsibility ends with me.
At least two mothers of crew members from Maine, Deb Roberts and Lori Bobbio, say neither the company nor the captain is responsible.
He was doing everything that he was trained to do. He's an outstanding individual. The blame that's to be done is on the hurricane, not the captain. The captain is looking out for his crew.
So what happened and why on the Faro? The investigation, the NTSB investigation, will be looking into those questions, hoping to get some answers for those family members. They'll be scrutinizing all the activities and all the decisions having to do with safety. That team from the NTSB is expected to be here in Florida for 7 to 10 days. Meanwhile, those families from Maine say they will be here until they know what happened to their loved ones.
Be with them by night and day. For merchant mariners, we pray.
A prayer and a moment of silence for Captain Michael Davidson, Danielle Randolph, Michael Holland, and Dylan Mecklin. It's been a tough week for students at Maine Maritime Academy. Despite the odds, they refuse to give up hope.
This isn't a memorial for anyone because they're still out there.
This is for the community to keep that hope, to show that, we're rooting for them and that they're going to get home safe.
And a lot of people who were here tonight say they were hopeful somehow, some way, Michael could hear their prayers and stay strong. Dozens gathered together tonight to raise their voices, thoughts, and prayers for their friend missing at sea.
I know you're like myself. You just never give up hope.
Every person lit a candle and sent a strong message of support.
The Coast Guard is still continuing its search for the crew members of the El Faro. However, we have decided that we will suspend that search at sunset tonight.
Heartbreak from Maine to Florida, as investigators say there are no survivors of the El Faro, the ship carrying 33 people, including 4 from Maine.
Well, obviously it's a nightmare. It's the worst ending that we could have ever imagined.
Knowing she's actually in a better place where it is safe and looking down upon us and watching out over her brothers and sisters up ahead, we're good. We're good. It's in God's hands.
The Coast Guard says the decision to end the search for El Faro was a difficult one.
They say they did all that they could, but after nearly a week with no signs of life, it's just time to move on. It's believed that El Faro sank last Thursday at its last known location near the Bahamas.
There were 4 Mainers on board, Dylan Mecklin and Danielle Randolph of Rockland, Michael Holland of Wilton, and Captain Michael Davidson of Windham.
Tonight, those friends and families are dealing with the news that their loved ones will not be coming home. We have team coverage from across the state tonight. But let's begin with CBS 13's John Chrysos in Jacksonville, Florida.
And John, you've been speaking with the family throughout this ordeal. This is not the news anyone wanted to hear.
A really tough day for sure here in Jacksonville, Florida. After 6 days of waiting and wondering, today those families learned they will be heading back to Maine without their children. But before they do, they told me they plan to come here to the beach so they can bottle up some water to feel like they're bringing home a little piece of their children with them.
It's a nightmare. It's the worst ending that we could have ever imagined.
As hours turned into days, moms Deb Roberts and Lori Bobbio held on to each other and hope that the Coast Guard would find their children lost at sea. Mike Holland and Danielle Randolph. Today, that hope faded.
They've just exhausted every effort. They have looked everywhere, living in limbo for 6 days. So even though it's not the answer we wanted, we have answers now.
At sunset, the Coast Guard suspending the search for survivors of the sunken ship, the El Faro.
What I find in peace as I envision the entire crew of the El Faro that went down in the ship together, and then that's their final resting place.
And these 2 moms have each other, brought together by tragedy at sea. How hard do you think it would be for Danielle and Mike to be looking down and seeing their moms having to deal with this without them?
They gave us each other.
They did.
Yeah.
They did.
Yeah.
They knew we couldn't do it alone.
That's right.
And they gave us each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
As they now prepare to pack up and make the 1,300-mile journey back home to Maine, they say they'll be leaving behind pieces of their broken hearts.
It's going to be very hard because we don't have Michael to take home with us. We were really hoping to be able to have our children to take home with us.
I have a strong faith, and because of that, I don't need the body to come to terms with it. She's up there now.
He'll always be in my heart.
And those families do plan to return home tomorrow or Friday, and they say they really are appreciative of the overwhelming support from so many friends, some new, some old, all back home in Maine. Reporting live tonight in Jacksonville, Florida, I'm John Chrysos, CBS 13 News.
And breaking news, really, on the missing Mainers at sea. In just a few minutes, when the sun sets officially in Florida, the search for those crew members aboard El Faro will officially come to an end as we take a live look in Jacksonville tonight.
So far, the Coast Guard has not found any survivors from the cargo ship. 33 crew members were on board, including 4 Mainers. Now, friends and family from Florida to Maine are remembering Captain Michael Davidson, Dylan Mecklin, Danielle Randolph, and Michael Holland.